did any of your friends tell you anything about you coming onto the podcast and things like that, or?
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
received a lot of like, oh my God, how cool. Like, I had never heard of this podcast. I'm going to follow them. A lot of like, what did they interview you on, before it came
Right.
out.
Yeah.
And then after it came out too, they were like, whoa, like, that's so cool. Like, I didn't know that. A lot of different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
You know what? I try to take pride when it comes down to the podcast, at least here in San Diego. I personally hadn't heard of any other podcast in San Diego, but there is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but have you heard of any other podcasts out there?
No,
And
not locally.
yeah, and there's quite a few.
Really?
Yeah, quite a few. But I try to compare my content to them, and I'm like, okay, I'm sticking to my lane. I'm sticking to my lane. I see what other people are doing, and it's like I really enjoy the content I put out there. But yeah, I was just curious if any of your friends reached out, or like,
Yeah.
what was their reaction after they saw some of the clips or the podcast?
A lot of people felt bad for me.
Oh, yeah?
But I didn't share my story for people to feel bad for me. I
Right.
shared it because that was my truth. And I mean, in a sense, I feel like when you share something so vulnerable like that, it allows other people to relate.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It opens that door for people to feel comfortable enough to share it with you or to express themselves, whether it was the same scenario or a little bit different. So yeah, some of my friends that just had kids too, they were like, whoa, like I would see stuff too, but I didn't know like that was a thing. Like I just thought I was crazy. Like I didn't see it,
Okay.
because it maybe wasn't as severe as mine. It was just like one or two occasions where they're like, whoa, what the heck? I'm just tired. They would find an excuse for it.
Yeah, and now you opening up about that they like, oh man, I actually experienced something very similar to you, but not to that extreme.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I actually through TikTok, I did see a lot of people that were like oblivious to this topic.
A lot.
I was one of them. I had
Yeah.
never heard of that. Actually, what I do is, and I always share this when I rewatch the episodes before I upload, I always put a star, and for that specific TikTok, I put a 1. Like I put a 1 next to it. I'm like, this is gonna be like a very powerful one, and it's the one that actually hit 2 million views.
Wow.
As of right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Oh, thanks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how?
I think it's just the, rawness of it all.
Right.
I think it's a subject that's not talked about enough. And I feel like it was a subject that hit a lot of different people. And it hit a lot of different people in a sense where they've never talked about it publicly.
Yeah.
So to them, it's okay. So to them, it was like, whoa, like I finally have someone that I relate to,
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like for instance, I've tried to had other people on the podcast too to share amazing stories, not similar to yours and not in that same topic, but a lot of people don't like to share it because they say they feel like it's going to be a sign of weakness for them.
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
For me, just because I'm sharing this, and I just don't want them to see it that I'm weak. But I think you pretty much put everything perfectly. You said everything perfectly in the sense that it's a part of your journey. You're just letting the world know what people go through on a regular day-to-day basis, you know. And there was a lot of people on the TikTok comments saying that they've experienced these type of things, but a lot of people keep it to themselves. Now let me ask you this: why do you think people keep this to themselves?
I think there's a lot of different reasons. One, they're embarrassed, which I was embarrassed too. There was times where I was like, how can I tell someone that I saw something that isn't there? Like I have never dealt with this before. Like it's embarrassing to say like, hey, I think something is wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then two, I think it's it sucks, but it's like, well, for me, it was like in our Mexican culture, like mental health doesn't exist. You know, it's like you don't go to therapy because crazy people go to therapy. And so it was scary to tell people like, hey, I think I need help. Or the whole like conversation about like when they say they're going to take your kids away because you're not mentally like stable to take care of them. Like a lot of people are scared to say like, hey, this is going on. They're like, oh, we're going to take your baby away because you're not mentally stable to take care of it. And it's like, whoa, like, I'm just not going to say anything.
Right. And you know what? Actually, that was one of my notes that I wanted to touch on, because I did see that people are scared of that, exactly what you just stated, that they're so scared that if they put something of this like out in the air to the public, to their maybe family members, then somebody can take it in a negative way, and they can possibly do that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it must be freaking scary.
I even saw a comment that said that someone took their baby away.
Really?
Because they were feeling like that. Yeah.
Oh,
and I
dang.
was like, wow, like, and it made me so happy when I saw all those comments. I mean, not that comment in particular, just in general, because it's so crazy how all these women have the same story, but it's all very different. And they're all connected by one same reason, and that's postpartum psychosis or postpartum depression.
Right.
And it's crazy because there was like 1,000 comments or something like that, and they were all relating to the same thing, and all their stories were all different, but they all had that one common factor, you know?
Yeah.
And who knows like how many other there are that just aren't brave enough to come out and say it.
Yeah, it's so crazy and mind blowing. Like till this day right now, like that was a very, I'm what, 35, 36? I don't even know my age now. But this is the very first time you sharing that. That was the very, very first time, and the only time I had ever heard of that.
Yeah.
You beforehand had somebody else told you to look out for that?
No, I was aware of postpartum depression, and I think like we talked about it last time, I thought I would never get it because again, I was in a happy relationship. I thought, maybe someone who's in a toxic relationship would be more prone to getting postpartum depression. So I never thought that would happen to me. So when it happened, I truly was lost. I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. I've never heard of this. Like, am I crazy? That's the only, and people were making fun of me because they were like, are you crazy? Yes, you're crazy. You're seeing things. And I'm like, that's the only word that I can find for how I felt. It's like, it's scary to be a perfectly healthy human being. I'm not on drugs. I'm not on alcohol. Like, and I'm truly seeing things. Like, there's just no other word for it except complete crazy,
Yeah. All right, let's do the intro, and then we'll continue with this conversation.
Are you ready? Welcome to Hoy No Más Podcast with Angel Houseman.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Hoy No Más Podcast. We have a very special guest for the second time. Thanks to Berenice. She made us hit 2 million views on one of her TikToks. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
That your story got to so many people's eyes.
Yeah. It's crazy. I didn't think it would.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
For all those other people.
Right. It gave them almost a sense for them to open up and have the little community within those comment section, right? I saw a lot of people just wanting to share these stories, but as we were stating before the intro, they felt in a sense scared to share that. But you can see through the whole comment section, people are going back and forth, sharing their experiences. And as we were talking before, you being able to reach 2 million people. And then I think in the other podcast, you mentioned that it is a lot of work doing the whole social media thing and stuff like that. But look at the reach that you were able to like get to with just one post, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine if you were to just share different scenarios or bring other people into your own platform about similar situations or just life experiences. It's very, very doable. So I would say if this is something that you like, I think you should definitely pursue it and maybe give that platform to other women to open up.
Yeah. I think after seeing the feedback from the comments section, I was in awe about how a lot of women don't have the platform to speak up about this subject, and a lot of people don't feel comfortable enough to share their story. So I think it would be really beautiful to give that to the women that don't have the space for it.
Right. So when you first saw the 1 million, like the TikTok hit 1 million, what was your reaction to that?
I thought that was cool enough. I was like, wow, it hit 1 million. And like, it's so funny. My niece texted me and she's like, okay, TikToker.
Oh, she's seen that?
She saw it.
That's
and
dope.
She's like, okay, TikToker. But again, I just think it was really cool for the women, for other women to have that safe space to share their story.
Yeah.
And now it's at 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of that TikTok in specific, I don't remember or recall if we actually touched base, but it ends when you say, "Then I took my medication." Mm-hmm. Because I saw some comments. Oh well, yeah, she's crazy and she wasn't taking her medication. Mm-hmm. What medication exactly was that?
It was just like an antidepressant that I was prescribed. But I think it was the way the clip was cut that it made it sound like that. Okay. Because I think when we were talking about it, I said, like it was backwards. It started, so then I started taking.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So then I started taking my medication and then it was like what I started saying, that I started seeing things and stuff, but it was the opposite way around.
Okay, I gotta remember. I would have to go back into the way they edited, but at times I actually do make those cuts and rearrange the clips.
Yeah.
Because I think the conversation within itself might be like 2-3 minutes.
Right.
Right. And so I have to rearrange the clips for it to make sense.
Right.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So
sorry
then after I was saying that I was seeing things and stuff, then I said, so then I started taking my medication and then it went away.
Sorry,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, it's okay.
People are like, oh, well, no wonder.
Yeah. No, it was the way the clip was.
Okay. So that antidepressant medication, usually it's given to all mothers, or you specifically?
You know what's so funny? After, after you posted the video and I was reading all the comments and stuff, I was diagnosed with postpartum depression. I wasn't diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. And they're two different things. So I was misdiagnosed. I don't know if I was misdiagnosed, but apparently with the comments, I was misdiagnosed because everyone is saying that that's not postpartum depression. So I'm not sure if you can still hallucinate with just postpartum depression, but my doctor, after sharing my symptoms and everything that was going on, she diagnosed me with postpartum depression. Mm-hmm. I was never diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. So that's why a lot of people in the comments too were saying like, don't misinform people. That's not postpartum depression. That's postpartum psychosis.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
don't know. I was just diagnosed with postpartum depression.
So now I even wonder, let's say if you were to have been diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, if they would have given you something for that, I even wonder if you would have even gone through that in the first place.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. But then it goes back to, I even saw a couple comments that because out of the whole podcast, I did make that clip, right? That I'm like, that I thought, well, a few people did come after me, right? That I said that at times all these different medications or vitamins are the cause of all of this, right? Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you stop taking these prenatal vitamins or medications, that you crash, right? Mm-hmm. So you start going pretty much downhill and like pretty much tripping out. But there was a lot of people that were actually resharing that clip and saying like, oh, I truly believe this. I never took any of this. I actually just, I think they said CMOS actually, that they were taking CMOS. They ate their veggies. They ate like a lot healthier. And they're like, I never took any of that and my baby's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I even wonder if taking all these types of medications, like we kind of touched base on it in the past, that if taking all these type of medications, you take one, then you take another, are the cost of all of this, because you're just putting a lot of external things into your body.
Yeah. And then with my birth being complicated, I had an emergency C-section, so I don't even know what they pumped me with, all the drugs that I was pumped with.
You said that when you were going through your pregnancy?
When I gave birth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what the cost or the effect is going to be because of that.
Right.
That's the thing, that a lot of the times that people do take medications, they take different types of vaccinations. At the end of the day, you don't know what's going into your body.
Yeah.
Right. But because a lot of people have the faith and trust into these doctors, you don't even question it.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. Maybe all those different things that they were pumping into you because of your pregnancy, maybe that was part of it as well. Yeah. There was a comment that kind of like caught my eye. It was just, there were so many comments, so I couldn't pinpoint one, but there was one that said, I get it, it exists. I asked my mom about it. Old school Mexican lady.
That's funny. I screenshot the same
no
comment.
Way. Really?
Yeah.
Well, because I think that was one of the recent ones that kind of popped.
Yeah.
But I actually wanted to talk about that, right?
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. That's a good thing. So I guess it kind of like makes sense why we should talk about it. So it says, I get it, it exists. I asked my mom about it. Old school Mexican lady, and she has no idea it's a thing. No one in her family or old neighborhood know it's a thing.
Right.
What do you think? Oh, actually, you commented back to that. Why do you think that is?
Again, we kind of talked about it before the intro. I feel like in Mexican culture, mental health doesn't exist to them. It's old school Mexican mentality that it wasn't taught to them. It didn't exist back then. I don't know what it is. And so I feel like it's really hard to share stories about, mental health because they don't think it exists, or they think you're just crazy.
But you think that's the case, or is it that they just don't go through it because of different nutrition?
I don't know.
Because the way I'm taking it as, right, and this is just my thoughts, right? Because I go back to what I used to listen to and experience through my past, like my grandma and my relatives, right? They used to talk about, no, que con frijolitos, que con tortillas, like you're freaking strong. And if you actually think about it, those were the people that were really, really hardworking
and they used to live to like 90 years, and we don't live past like 60, 70 years now.
Exactly. So now I even wonder, and I get your point. Maybe it's not necessarily that it's not talked about, but maybe it's not even a thing because of different type of nutrition, or because they're not putting any external medications into their body. Right. It just, that's the reason why it caught my attention. So I think there might be a point to that. There might be a point that actually it's something that like, oh, like suck it up type of thing. Like you're not going through anything and you just kind of shake it off, I guess. Or it might be that it's not, people just like that. Yeah, they don't experience it.
I feel like, yeah, it could be both, but I feel like a lot of cultures are uneducated on mental health, and let alone, I mean, if we're still uneducated on postpartum mental health, imagine them, like there was thousands of comments that didn't even know postpartum psychosis existed nowadays in 2024. So it's like back then where there's no technology, no social media. It's like they didn't know that existed.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I think it's just, who knows if we're ever, going to know what the actual reality and cost of it is.
Yeah.
There's just so many different factors. Now, if at one point you were to get pregnant again, would you do anything different?
I think I would definitely talk to my doctor before. I read a comment actually on there too that said that she talked to her doctor before getting pregnant. So she was put on I don't think you can take antidepressants while being pregnant. So she took antidepressants before getting pregnant, before trying to get pregnant. And she said that had helped her for her second pregnancy, because for her first pregnancy, she developed postpartum depression and psychosis. So I don't know. I would probably have to talk to my doctor and kind of develop a plan. But I also think that I'm a lot more informed now. I think that if I were to get pregnant again, I would definitely do things differently. I wouldn't be I can do it all girl. I would definitely take all the help I could get, and I would take care of myself a lot better.
Yeah. And when you say take care of yourself better, in what sense?
Well, I was a first-time mom, so I put myself on the back burner like a lot of people do. Like, you kind of have to, it's like I wouldn't shower, I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't even have time to like drink water, nothing. Like, I did not exist at that point because I needed to take care of my newborn baby. And I think if I were to do pregnancy all over again, I would go back and take care of myself a lot better. I would prioritize taking a shower, even if it's for 5 minutes, Yeah. I would prioritize like making sure I'm eating something. Or I saw somewhere that like pregnant women would meal prep and then freeze it so that when they had newborn baby, obviously like you don't have time to cook. So then they would just thaw out like the dish and it was already cooked for you, and you would have a nice like healthy meal,
Right. Just be more prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I even saw some of the comments that as a guy, right, I think on the last episode that we did, I didn't mention that Chilla was pregnant, but now Chilla being pregnant, I was laughing because I saw this comment that said, man, I'm going to put freaking cameras in the room because imagine like a girl stating something outrageous like that. Not that it was outrageous. Well, it was outrageous, right? That, hey, like, what are you doing? You're putting our baby inside of this drawer. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean? People can get in trouble because of these things, right?
Yeah, the accusations.
Yeah. And the thing is, you never know. I even saw some people that said after people going through that, they never were cured from that. They just like stayed in this psychosis state. So I don't know, like there's so many things with that. I'm not going to put cameras, but I'm going to be like, hey, Chilla, man, if she acts out, bring out the cell phone. Nah, but I think it was a very, very perfect topic to talk about this prior to Chilla actually giving birth and all that, because now at least I know what to kind of look out for,
Yeah, I think just being prepared. And I saw this quote on TikTok that said it doesn't take a village to raise a baby, but it takes a village to help the mom. And that is so true, because I didn't need help caring for my babies. I was able to feed them, I was able to burp them and rock them to sleep, But I needed someone to come help me cook. I needed someone to come help me wash the 18 bottles. I needed someone to help me watch the babies sleep while I was able to shower and maybe take a 20-minute nap. It's like I needed the help, not the babies. Right. So I think that that's really important. Just having people caring for the mom, not the babies, because the babies are fine. They are being fed. They are being, taken care of by the mom. But I think that's where the postpartum care comes in, that a lot of people think the moms need help with the babies, but I think a lot of times the mom needs help for themselves.
Yeah, just to get that time for themselves a little bit. Yeah.
And the care, you just went through so much. You literally
Sorry.
you literally gave birth, and your body just went through all this strenuous activity, and mentally, physically, emotionally, the whole nine, as far as like it takes a toll on your body, so I think it's just more of caring for the mom rather than the baby.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it goes back to anything. I think it's a life lesson, right? In order for you to love somebody else, you have to first love yourself and take care of yourself first, right? So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
On the previous podcast, is there anything that you went back after we finished and you were like, man, I wish I would have said this, or I missed to say this? And anything that you can recall by any chance?
Not necessarily.
No?
I can't think of
so
anything.
You pretty much put everything that you wanted to say. That
Yeah.
Cool. What was your partner's, your boyfriend's reaction to the podcast?
He cried.
No way.
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Yeah. He just was so emotional about it, because I think when you go through something like that with your partner, man, it tests your relationship. I mean, like you said, I'm making horrible accusations of him. He's a new dad. He's in a vulnerable state as well. And it puts your relationship to test. So I think now that we're out of that, we look back and honestly, it just makes you want to cry, because you're just like, damn, I can't believe that we were that, like, what's the word? Just like going through something so rough, like just really tested our relationship. So now that we're out of it, it just makes us emotional to know that we like made it out,
right.
And that we're still in a healthy, happy relationship,
right.
Because there was a point where we were like, fuck, can we do this? Like, are we going to make it out? Like, are we going to be okay? And you don't have time. You don't have time or energy to tend to each other. So it just tests your relationship. And so when you make it out, you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And so when you're able to so I'm grateful that I was able to record that, because when you're able to watch, like he was able to watch me tell my story, he's just like, damn, like that's crazy, because we lived it together. And now I'm able to watch you like share what we went through, and we're still here and we're still happy and you're healthy now. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because like you said, not a lot of people make it out together. And then some women don't make it out of that psychosis or the depression. There's women that deal with it for years.
Yeah.
So he was emotional, and he was just happy that, I'm healthy and I'm happy, and that we're still together and happy.
And at times you forget about all those different, I guess, turbulence that people go through, right? You forget about it, and just going back and recollecting those memories is just like, man, I forgot about certain things.
Yeah.
Right? And at the end of the day, what I love about this content is that it almost becomes a diary, right? That even you can even share that with your kids at one point. Look what your mom went through, right?
Yeah.
Just for you to be safe and sound, and just to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, that's what we were talking about, that it was really nice to have that footage to just look back on, because even when I was going through the postpartum psychosis, I would record myself. I have random videos in my phone
really?
of just like changing my baby's diaper, or like burping him, or like making a bottle. Because when I went to my follow-up after postpartum, where I got diagnosed with postpartum depression, I told her I would forget things. Like the day before, let's say, like I would make a bottle and stuff, I would forget that I had made the bottle, and I'd go make another one. Or just like I was very forgetful. So I was really scared to forget moments with my babies when they were that little. I didn't want to forget. And so I started recording myself. I would just record myself. I would literally put the phone like on the dresser, and I would walk back and like rock my baby to sleep, swaddle him, and go put him in his crib. Because I thought that I would forget those moments, or I thought that I just wouldn't remember them. And so I wanted to remember them, to look back on, because I was just so lost. It felt like my brain was so foggy that I felt like I wasn't going to remember how tiny their toes were, or that newborn scrunch where they just close up their legs. Like, there was just stuff that I thought I wasn't going to remember, and I was scared of that. I didn't want that to happen, so I would record myself all the time with them. So, and I mean, I do still remember, but in that moment, I remember that I was like, oh, I have to record myself, because what if I don't remember when they were this little?
and would you recommend that to a new mom to do that?
Yes, because now, I mean, luckily I'm healthy and I do remember, but now I have these super cute videos to look back on, you know, and to see how tiny they were. So it's still beautiful regardless.
Yeah, exactly. No matter if you actually do remember, but it's a diary at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like a fake vlogger. I'd be like, so
No
today is Tuesday, May 15th, and this is what we're doing. Look, this is how you look. And I'd like do like a little vlog of just, and then just save it.
You should post it, man.
I know, I should, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, you have it in you, but just need to flourish, put it out there.
I know.
Yeah. Is was there any comments in specific that we haven't touched on from the TikTok?
Yes, I screenshot one. It says, I see all moms in the comments, but are there any fathers that experience this, or was it just me? He said, I used to hear my baby cry right before falling asleep. And that's it.
Okay.
But I thought it was funny that he commented that, because men could also go through postpartum depression. I'm not sure if they can go through postpartum psychosis. I don't know, like, all in depth of that. But men can go through postpartum depression. And I think that that's an important subject to bring up, because they too are vulnerable. And I feel like they need the help and the assistance too, you know?
Yeah. Did your boyfriend go through anything like that while you were going through it? Or was it more of he was just trying to hold everything together just for you?
I think he was trying to hold everything together. But he says that he heard phantom cries too, which is just like when you hear the baby crying and they're not crying, because it would happen to both of us. Like, we'd be watching a movie or something and we'd be like, oh, the baby's up. And like, we'd look at the monitor and the babies were sleeping.
Oh, dang.
So it would happen to both of us. Yeah. I don't think it was to the extent where he had postpartum depression. Sometimes it's like you just, you know, a little more alert.
Yeah. Or just worried, right? You're just over being first time parents and all that. You're just extra worried. Right.
So I think that was the case. But I have heard of men getting postpartum depression too. So it's just, I thought it was interesting that he commented that. Yeah,
because a lot of the times, a lot of the focus, even though, as you stated before, the moms need a lot of help. But then it always happens, right? That they always forget about the dads, right?
Yeah.
Like the person that's, you know, holding the pretty much house together, that everybody thinks the mom and things like that. But for instance, like, nobody thanks the dad for, like, hey, thanks to you, dad, we have light at the house. We have freaking food on our tables, things like that. And I think that's a perfect comment, because, they forget about the men.
They do. And they're also vulnerable, and they're also first-time dads. And it's a scary time for them too. So that's why I get really sad when I look back, because I'm like, damn, like, he had to deal, you know, with the newborn twins, and then I wasn't really mentally all the way there, and then work and all this stuff. And I'm just like, damn, like, shout out to you.
Yeah.
So
And anything else that he mentioned about like the podcast after he like you mentioned that he cried or anything like that? Was he happy, proud that you actually shared that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just really proud, and we would read the comments, and he was also very like shocked at how many women go through this, because when I went through this, we were like, whoa, like we've never heard of this. Like we didn't know anybody close around us that had gone through something like that. So we were just like, I don't know, I guess this happens to people, you know? And so when we were reading the comments, like he was just like, dude, there's thousands of people that go through this. It's just they don't have the courage to speak up. And he too tells me like, you should do it, babe. Like, I know if you create that space, like, I know it's going to hit because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And
it might exist, but if you, your boyfriend, myself, don't know of a platform that it does exist, then that means there's plenty of room for that, for another platform to exist. And just like yourself, 2 million people had never heard of that before.
Right.
So, man, I think that would be a hit if you would have like provide that safe space to do that. So so yeah, think about it. Or if not, you can always come and be part of here and always share those type of stories, or bring other women to the platform. I would be more than willing to.
Yeah.
If you don't make that move, I'll make it. Yeah. So let me see. Oh, by the way, there was they kept on commenting on that TikTok about the girl with the list.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. There's a girl on TikTok that made a list on reasons why you shouldn't have kids or to not have kids.
Yeah.
And so they said, like, you can add postpartum psychosis to the list.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know that was the thing. And this girl, what she does, she literally goes to, I guess, viral TikToks that talk about, like, something crazy about it. Not about kids, a kid situation. So she'll add this situation or this video onto her list. Like I saw one about a kid pooping on them or something. So she added that one, kid pooping on me while X reason, right? And yeah, I think this one in particular, I'm surprised she hasn't added it to the list, man.
Add us to the list.
Yeah, seriously. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, she went viral for that a while ago, and now that's just her content.
You had seen that before?
I had seen it before.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. Hopefully we make it to the list.
I know, right?
That'll be another boost. Did anybody from TikTok reach out to you and message you by any chance? Or Instagram?
I kind of went back and forth with the girl in the comments.
Okay.
She had postpartum psychosis, and she was just saying, she was just sharing her experience, and I asked her, like, how long she had it for. A lot of people had questions, which I'm not a doctor, you know, I just went through it. So, but a lot of people were like, I went through that, but I never got help. Like, how long should I go see a doctor, or like, should I get medication too? Like, so it definitely go see a doctor if you did go through it, or you are still going through it. But I went back and forth with a couple girls, just sharing our experiences, what they went through. A lot of them had already passed. One of them said that she was still going through it, and she didn't know what to do. And I recommended that she should go see her doctor. Yeah. In a sense where, I mean, you could do like therapy and just, you know, talk it out. But I think psychosis, you do need to see a medical professional for it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. That's crazy. Even though your reel or TikTok that you talked about, you being able to see your mom through dreams. At first it didn't really take off, but then it started taking off, and there was a lot of people that actually dream past relatives multiple times, saying that I also feel like it is a portal that I get to connect to them. Just like myself, that I mentioned last time, that I've been able to talk to my dad when he first passed away, and I was able to kind of connect with him. I haven't been able to connect with him now, but it's just, I guess it's a known thing that people get to experience those dreams and just connections with people that pass. And I know. I think it's another beautiful thing that you shared, and you were able to document that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that been a recurring thing still, or it was just mostly when the incident happened of your mom passing?
It's just been like random. My mom has. It's been 2 years since she passed, and it's just been ongoing since. The last time was in like October, I think, or something like that.
Oh, pretty recent.
Yeah, so it's just like different times. It's not really, but yeah, it still happens.
Yeah. And have you experienced anything like paranormal or any sort of like psychosis, seeing things or anything move by any chance after that?
With my mom, I don't know. I feel like with that kind of stuff, I feel like sometimes we look for it.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, because it's like I would see things or things would happen and I'm like, am I like just trying to find a connection that was my mom, or is that really my mom? Right. So I don't know if the two just coincidence or it really did happen, but there's been occasions where like I close the cabinet and then I come back and it's open. Or I have like a memory box. We buried my mom in her wedding dress.
Wow.
And before, I'm not married yet. And before turning in her dress to the like embalmers or whatever, I cut a piece of her dress from the bottom.
Wow.
Because I wanted to one day sew the piece of her wedding dress onto my wedding dress. So anyways, I have that piece of her wedding dress in this memory box that I have of hers. And like one time I put it up in my closet and it had fallen and it was like open. And I was just like, is that her like telling me like, you know, I'm still here? Or it's just one of those days where you're just like, damn, like I miss my mom. Like I really miss my mom. Like I wish I could talk to her, this, that. And then like you come home and the box is just on the floor and you're just like, did it fall because I didn't place it correctly? Or was that her telling me like, hey, I'm here. I heard you.
Yeah, it's true.
Know?
And in regards to like seeing the shadows or anything, that all stopped now after...
Yeah, for my postpartum psychosis, for me, it only lasted, I think in the last that's what me and my boyfriend were mentioning. He was like, that, because I think I told you last time that my psychosis lasted 3 weeks.
I think so. I don't remember. I would have to go back.
I don't remember either, but it didn't last 3 weeks. It lasted 3 months.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He's like, let me remind you.
He's like, it lasted 3 months.
Yeah,
it lasted 3 months for me. And it just completely went away for me. Like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Along with the depression, it's gone. So, yeah.
Are you doing anything different now that you're like, okay, now I'm able to take care of myself now? I think you did mention before that now you get to enjoy being a mother.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're 100% back to being bedded, but at the same time enjoying your kids?
Yeah, for sure. I think getting out of the house is so important. I was so independent. I would wake up in the morning, go to work, go to TJ Maxx, go to Starbucks. Like I had my own life before having kids, you know? So I feel like being coddled up inside the house was really bad for me.
Right.
And again, Mexican culture makes you think like, no vayas a salir de la casa después de tener hijos. Like you have to stay 40 days inside your house.
What?
Yeah, they call it la cuarentena. You cannot leave your house for 40 days.
What the heck?
Y si sales, tienes que tener like los oídos tapados, los pies tapados, las manos tapadas, everything tapado.
Okay, so I've heard of the cuarentena just because I've just heard it, but I didn't know that was a thing of a woman not leaving the house.
Yeah, like you can leave for doctor's appointments or like stuff like that, but you're not allowed to be like out. So, supposedly, that's what they told me.
So what's the myth behind it?
I don't know. Que te entra aire.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, like you need to heal. You need to just be drinking like warm liquids in your house, like on bed rest.
did you follow that? The cuarentena? Okay.
Well, yeah, but I was going crazy. So my boyfriend would be like, dude, go to Starbucks, just go through the drive-through, go on a drive, listen to music. So I would leave the house for like drives and listen to music and stuff. But I stayed home for 40 days.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. That's another thing I didn't know. Like, I've heard of like cuarentena or whatever. But
Well, yeah, they say la cuarentena is like no sex.
Oh, what the hell?
But yeah, like you're not allowed to have sex for 40 days. But then you're also supposed to not leave the house. If you do leave the house, like you have to cover your ears, your back, like your everything, like super, super warm. And they told me like I have to like be basically on bed rest. Like,
What the heck?
yeah.
Is this only in the Mexican culture, or have you heard anything like maybe doctors recommending this? Or
I think I've only heard it from like Diaz. I've never
Oh,
heard
shit.
it. I've never heard it medically. Like,
yeah, man, that's very interesting. I wonder where all of this came from, right?
I honestly, I think it's again like back in the day, they were taken care of a different way because I know like, I think like Asian culture does something similar when they give birth. Like they have like this soup that they drink and it's supposed to like restore you and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's interesting. Por ejemplo, one that I always hear, right? It's that if you're, this is separate from like birth and stuff, but I always hear that if you're at home, like calientito, whatever, it's nice and warm inside, and if you step outside to the cold weather, que te vas a torcer.
Yeah.
I've never seen a person freaking just like twist this shit. But that's something that I always hear, right? So I always make sure that I'm bundled up porque no me quiero torcer. But
Yeah. It's like these like superstitions that I guess
Right.
were like instilled in us because of our culture, but I don't know if it's true or not, but I followed it.
just
I
to be on the
stayed
safe
home.
side.
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know, but I stayed home for 40 days.
Man, that's interesting. I'm gonna ask around about the cuarentena.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But going back to what you to what you said about like going on little drives, things like that. Man, that's applicable to anybody. At times, I'm always freaking from work. I've come home, either I work out here at home. I'm always doing my thing, or coming to the studio editing. And at times it's just like, I'm just like, man, I need to freaking just step out anywhere, even if it's just go walk around somewhere, because just being stuck at home, it can like cause you to be like depressed.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, going back to the whole pandemic stuff, right? They were recommending everybody to stay at home. So I feel like everything that they were recommending was causing more harm,
Right.
and causing more people to like get depressed and all those different things. That's why I don't, not that I'm against with a lot of like doctor recommendations and what they put out in the media, but I always like to question what they're putting out there, because from my point of view, I feel like they don't have the best interest into us, right? Because they never recommended. I never once heard in the media for them to state, guys, you guys have to eat fruits and vegetables. You guys have to go out for hikes and walks out there. Make sure you get some sun out there. It was never recommended. That's why I was like, everything that they were saying was a total opposite of which can cause harm.
Right.
So not that I'm against all this doctor stuff, but I always like to question things.
Yeah. I read this thing that said like, do what's best for your baby, not don't do things by the book, do what's best for your baby. And it's so true. Like if you go on Google and you search like, oh, what should we do? Like you should start doing this by month 3. You should do this by month 4. You know, they have like different recommendations of like what you should and shouldn't be doing. Like don't give your baby water. Don't give your baby purees till they're this and that, you know?
Oh, you know what? You bring up a good point, because I'm going to be a new pretty much father, but I heard about that you're not supposed to give your newborn baby water.
Yeah. No,
Really?
you're not supposed to. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
But then, you know, some babies are very constipated. So your pediatrician could recommend giving half an ounce of water to your baby. Like, it's just every case is different. So I feel like when people say like, oh, you should be doing this and that, it's like, no, like, do what's best for your baby. Like, my baby is going to be different from your baby,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I remember they would tell me, like, don't wake a sleeping baby. If he's sleeping, let him sleep. But in my case, I had twins, so I had to get them on a schedule, because if not, I had one twin waking up at 6 a.m. and one waking up at 8 a.m. And then one was ready for a nap at 10 and one was ready for a nap at 12. And so I wasn't getting any rest because they were on opposite schedules. When one was up, the other one was sleeping. So for me, I had to wake one baby up so that both babies would be on the same schedule. And now they're on the same schedule. We're all good. But I remember they'd be like, don't wake him up, let him sleep. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not the one, getting up every hour because you have to tend to two babies. So always do what's best for your baby, not what everybody else is telling you.
Yeah, because it's not a one size fits all.
It's not.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a very, very good point. So something else that I wanted to ask, right? They always recommend the formula, right, for kids, right? And that's a very, very common thing in our generation, because there was a point that I guess there was scarcity on formula, right? But this is me going back to like old times for Mexico. Formula didn't exist at one point.
Right.
So I don't know, like, do you, obviously I'm pretty sure you're a more of a current times mom. Do you rely on the formula still, like as a mom, or do you find other substitutes for that?
Yeah, my babies are formula fed.
Okay.
But they were breastfed.
Okay.
But I don't know. You kind of have to make your decision on that, because for me, it was really hard to breastfeed because I had twins.
Yeah.
So I had to, and they were premature. So they were never able to latch onto my nipple. Like babies need to learn to latch onto a nipple, and my babies could never learn. So I would always have to pump with the breast pump and breastfeed them that way. So they were always bottle fed. And it was too difficult for me to breastfeed. I had to pump like every 2 hours. I developed an infection too because my breast got enlarged.
What the heck?
Yeah, because you have to pump the milk from your breast, because if not, it becomes enlarged and you develop an infection through the pores that the milk is coming out from.
And that's because you're pumping too much or too little?
You're not taking out the milk every hour.
Dang, you're supposed to do it every hour?
Well, everybody's different, but
Okay.
for me, I had to do it every hour, because if not, it would just, like, literally, your breast can become like rock hard solid. And I know that sounds insane to you, but it really is, like,
Really?
yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. So it's just, breastfeeding is such a difficult conversation, because there's a lot of controversy over it. A lot of doctors push it on you. They make you feel like you have to do it. A lot of women don't want to, because it takes a lot of mental strain on you. It's so difficult.
So the most, let me start this one. So what the doctors recommend is for a woman to actually be breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's the number one recommendation. And what would be, like, at least to our knowledge, right? The number one thing would be to actually breastfeed. And then if you can't, then would it be pumping or the formula?
It depends what the issue is. So, like, if your baby's not latching onto the breast, then you can try, they have like a nipple shield. So it's like a little piece of plastic that suctions onto your nipple. And so that way it's easier for the baby to be able to, like, suck the milk.
Yeah.
Or they have breast pumps where you just you put them on and it's like an electric thing and it's suctioning the milk for you, and then you'll pour that into a bottle and feed the baby that way. But that's if your baby is having issues latching. If your baby's, I don't know, sometimes the mom doesn't want to breastfeed because also breastfeeding really does take a mental toll on you. I heard somewhere that like breastfeeding is equivalent to like running a mile or something like that.
Yeah. So it's draining.
Yeah. It's draining. And you know what? When I would pump, I would get really cold. And I've never done my research on this. So if anyone has felt that before, let me know, because I would get chills. I would shiver. Like I would be like, ooh, I'm so cold because I was pumping. And I remember I would ask around, like, why do I feel cold that I'm pumping? Like, I don't know. It feels so weird, and no one would know. So I thought that was very odd. And so a lot of women like also blame their postpartum depression on
Breastfeeding?
on breastfeeding. Yeah. So I don't know. It's
Damn.
it's a very complex subject.
Definitely. I feel like
Very
you guys
complex.
go through so much, man. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm like learning so much just by having you on the first podcast. Now this one, like Baby Talks with Hoy Nomás podcast.
I know. And it's perfect that this
man.
happened because you're
Yeah.
becoming a dad. So it's really important. I think right now it's such a perfect time for you to be learning all this, because by the time your baby comes, you're going to be so prepared.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to know what to do. You're like, Chella, I'm going to buy you new nipple shields.
Seriously.
Be like,
Here.
how do you know that?
I'm going to help you pump. Man, these are hard rock.
Yeah. That means you might have an infection, Chella.
Yeah. Do you want to go on for a drive?
Yeah. Offer.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I just, everything like lines up, right?
Yeah. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So if you don't do that actual podcast for yourself, I'm going to do Baby Talks with Hoy Nomás.
I know, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking of having the baby be on the podcast to have the very first baby on a podcast. And talk to me. How do you feel being my son or daughter? Oh,
It's
man.
just going to cry.
Yeah, for real. Man, yeah. Is there any other comments by any chance that stuck out to you, or anything that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we touched base on everything.
I honestly really, really enjoy the first one and then this one. I honestly learned quite a bit right now.
Yeah.
Everything that you were saying right now. You did mention about you having some sort of an infection because of you not pumping. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just when one of your glands gets infected because it's not being suctioned. And you just have to suction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the remedy. You just have to.
Yeah, I think for me that was my remedy. I just had to put like really hot compresses and then suction, and it went away. But I know some people have to go on antibiotics and stuff if it doesn't like go away.
Damn. And then even going through antibiotics, you wonder how that would affect the breast milk.
Right.
Right. It's just crazy. It's so many different things.
Yeah.
Betty, anything else that we should touch on?
No, I think we covered all bases.
Okay. I'm sure there's going to be other things that might come up.
I know. It always happens
Yeah.
when you get home. You're like, oh, I forgot to say this.
Yeah. I took some notes. Let me just make sure that I didn't like forget about anything. I never really take notes because I like the conversation just to be fluent. No, I think at least from the notes I had taken, I think we touched on it just organically. So anything else you would want to say? Any other recommendation or anything you would want to put out there for any first-time mommies, any current moms?
Just take care of yourselves. Always prioritize you and your babies, and build a routine. That's so important. That has definitely saved my life and has made everything so much easier. But if a routine's not for you, then that's also okay, you know?
Yeah. Are you looking forward to the next stage in your baby's life? They're 1 year
They're
old?
8 months.
Okay, so
I'm
they
like,
haven't.
no, I want them to stay 8 months.
Yeah. And so, you know what's crazy? That, okay, you experience all of this, you and your boyfriend, right? As
Yeah.
first time parents, and they haven't even reached a year yet,
I know.
right? So now imagine once they hit a year, once they start like crawling and talking and then going to school, just like, man, being a parent, it's such a freaking, it's a whole journey within
Yeah.
itself, right?
Yeah. I always cry when I think of like Valentine's Day's coming up, and the other day, like 2 days ago, we were having dinner and I started crying because he was like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "It's because imagine when they come up to us and say like, 'Hey mom, can you take me to the store to buy this girl flowers because Valentine's Day is Wednesday?'" Like,
Dang.
oh my God. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be extra and like buy them all this stuff, you know, but it's like so emotional to think like these baby boys are going to be grown men one day, you know, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so emotional because I'm just like, dang, they're 8 months now. And I'm like, they're going to be one soon. Like, I can't believe it. And we've already, like you said, we've already been through so much and they're not even one yet.
Insane.
Yeah.
And the thing is too that as human beings, right, everybody comes with their own personality. Isn't that crazy, right? Like, even though, yeah, you as a mom, as a dad, you want to implement, you know, certain morals and certain like teachings, things like that. But at the end of the day, they already have their own personality.
Yeah.
Isn't that freaking crazy?
Yeah. Even my twins, like, they are completely different people. Like, one is so patient and loving and he loves to cuddle, and the other one is so independent and he likes to play by himself. He doesn't like you to like cuddle him. Like, they're so different. And I'm just like, dang. Or my boyfriend really loves soccer and he's like, damn, I can't wait till I can enroll them in soccer and like do all this stuff. And I'm like, babe, what if they don't like soccer?
Yeah, exactly.
What if like they're really into the violin and you're at violin practice? And he's like, damn, you're right. Well, you know, whatever they want to be, like, we'll support it. But it's really exciting to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited, and we still have like a good 5 months to go. Yeah, Chilo's doing June, I believe.
Take so many pictures, document everything. I see your vlogs, so that's really cool that you'll be able to look back on.
Yeah, that's something for sure that I want to do, like continue doing, right, to document like the journey and stuff. So yeah, I'll continue doing that. And yeah, well, I'm excited. I'm not nervous as of yet, but I just want the actual baby to come already, in the sense. I feel like, at least for me, I don't know if it was the same thing for you, right? But when you're going through the different months and the trimester and all that, did it seem like it took forever for the babies to get here, or was it more of it went by so fast?
I think for me, it went by really slow in the beginning. And then after 6 months, it went like, boom, like it felt like a month after I had them. So I feel like after the baby shower for me was just like, go, 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 go. Like I had so much stuff to do.
Right.
So yeah.
Because for me, it almost seems like, oh man, it's taking forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it feels like it.
Okay.
It feels like it's taking forever. Like it's going by really slow. And then one day, boom, it's like, what? We don't have this. We don't have that.
Oh,
like,
man.
you know?
Yeah.
So definitely do everything with time. Like right now that it feels like it's going slow is the perfect time.
Yeah, I need to. I need to start clearing out one of the rooms.
Yeah, do that now.
What do you think we're gonna have?
I don't know. I think it's a boy.
You think so?
Yeah, because she's not really showing that much.
She's starting to show a little bit more now. Yeah, because this is her 4th month, 18 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like she's starting to show a little bit more, but not too extreme either.
Is she like really tired?
Nah, she has full energy. She has more energy now than before.
I think it's a boy.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like superstition
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
like what people tell you. Like
Right.
if the belly is like pointy, it's a boy. If it's like wide, it's a girl. Just like based off of those superstitions. I had a lot of energy in the beginning. In the end, I got really tired and exhausted because the weight of the twins was just a lot. But in the beginning, I had all the energy. I was like going, moving. So I think it's a boy.
Okay, we'll see if you're right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. If you don't have anything else,
No.
good. All right. So once again, like I always like to say, it's a greater risk not taking a risk. I am Angel Houseman. Berenice.
Bye, guys.
Subscribe to the channel. Thank you, guys. As you were saying certain things, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna clip that.
Isn't that funny how
Yeah.
like you're like your mind is
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, like the cuarentena one.
Yeah, that one's gonna hit. Watch.
Yeah, hopefully. At times, you think,
They'll hit.
yeah,
And then they don't.
yeah, exactly.